Parasha Va'era, Tשפב. Interesting parsha. We're going to try to dwell on the first pasuk for, only. Very interesting pasuk, very short pasuk that everything has a meaning, the number of letters, the number of words, the language. Let's start with the first pasuk. It's a very easy pasuk to understand. Vaydaber Elokim and Moshe. Hashem spoke to Moshe. We're missing what Hashem told him. He doesn't say what Hashem told him. Vaydaber Elokim al Moshe. Hashem spoke to Moshe. He doesn't tell us what he told him, and then he's talking about something else. Vayomer, it's an amira. So Vaydaber is a lashon. Even Rashi brings it a harsh language, a harsh tone. Elokim is the din, and he doesn't tell us what he told Moshe. Vayomer elav. Now Kadosh Baruch Hu tells him, so it's an amira. Kadosh Baruch Hu changed his tone and told him, Ani Hashem, tells him the name of Rachamim, Hashem. All right. I don't get what's the beginning, what's the head, and what's the tail of this pasuk. What he's trying to tell us. Rashi is going into a weird pool of explanations, and the Rishonim and the Achronim are pounding on him, trying to understand. Everyone knows that Rashi, when he was writing a pshat, he was capable of fasting for 2 years in order to go down, to be zoiche to the right pshat. So whatever Rashi tells us, we know that it's Torah and Moshe Misinai, but we don't understand his words. Let's try to get into the subject, connecting it with the previous parsha. Parsha ended, Moshe complaining to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Lama hare oisa la'am hazeh. What did you do bad to these people? Honestly, do you think this is a translation of the pasuk? Do you think Moshe Rabbeinu would have the chutzpah to talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that way? Moshe Rabbeinu was the biggest anav. Even though he would come and talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the defense of Bnei Yisrael, he was always defer with kavod, with everything. He knew what was HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Otherwise, he would never become Moshe Rabbeinu. So what is he telling him? Lama hare oisa, such a chutzpah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't get offended. He tells him, Vayomer elav Hashem ata tir'eh. Now you're gonna see. Midrash Tanchuma jumps on it and says, you know what? It's not exactly as you think the touch of the pasuk. Ata tir'eh tells me that you will see now the geula from Mitzrayim, but the geula of the 31 melachim from Eretz Yisrael, you won't see it. Punishment. You've been chutzpahdik. Still, when you see the punishment, you understand that the chutzpah was not that great. For Moshe Rabbeinu, it seems great. But had there Moshe Rabbeinu, so some of the Rishonim, all the Rishonim are connecting these two psukim together. Vaydaber Elokim, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu talk with a harsh tone to Moshe Rabbeinu and with the name of Elokim, which means din? Because Moshe Rabbeinu said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Lama hare oisa. Why did you do bad? All right. If that was the pshat, in that case, if that was really the pshat, that was the touch of the pasuk and the reason, in that case, he should have said it right away. The next pasuk after Moshe Rabbeinu stated, Lama hare oisa, he should have said Vaydaber, a harsh language. No, it says Vayomer, a soft language. I told you before, HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't get offended. He still punishes him, but didn't get offended. So why 3 psukim later, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gets offended? And now he talks to him harshly, but if you don't say nothing in your tone, what did you do? You made a sound? What have you said? Nothing. Vaydaber Elokim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke. But if you don't, when we speak, our tone can be basically judged based on the sentence, the words that are going to come out of our mouth. But here, there's nothing coming out of the mouth of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what harsh tone you're telling me he told him about because of the chutzpah per se, you know, quote unquote, Moshe Rabbeinu had toward Hashem. Makes no sense. Vayomer elav ani Hashem, he tells him ani Hashem, like, what? Didn't I know you from this name? Don't I know you from, you know, from everywhere, from in being a median, with having the Mate Elokim in his hand? It's a pasuk that really remains to be explained, requires really a big explanation. And we will. Bez Hashem, we will. The next word is Va'era, the title of our parasha. Every time the Torah uses a language that cannot be found anywhere else, usually it's hinting at something. You will not find in the Torah again the word Va'era. Not in the Nach, not in the whole Tanakh. Why HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you know, here wanted to have a specific language just in that case. And this whole pasuk is also extremely hard. Va'era el Avraham, and appeared to Avraham. And he's going to say El Yitzchak, to Yitzchak, El Yaakov, to Yaakov. Or can you say, like you say a lot of time, El Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov? Why is that El, to? When you're breaking, it's like you're walling them up, you know, and separate them one from another, that you don't want them to be together. El Avraham. Make sure there's another El on the other side. And Yitzchak also, another El on the side. What's going on? Why? Bekel Shakai. I appear to them in the name of Shakai. Kel Shakai. Ushmi Hashem lo inoidati lahem. But my name of Hashem, I didn't tell them. Really? Okay. Take from Parasha Va'era, Va'era Chayesara, up to Vayechi. See how many times. I stopped counting because it becomes just insane. The name of the time HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks as Hashem to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So what is this pasuk telling us? I didn't tell them my name of Hashem, but yes, you did. Most of the haftachas, promises you made to them, are under the name Hashem. Look in the pasuk. And there's dozens, if not hundreds of times that you come to them with the name of Hashem. So are you telling me something here that I don't see in the pasuk, but I seem to translate the pasuk pshat? Not going to go any further than that, but the whole parasha, including the shemes of the Geula, they make no sense. I'll add you one more question, just to show you that there's plenty left. In this on the very pasuk, Ushmi Hashem loy noidati lahem. The biggest mistake in dikduk that can happen. You say Ushmi Hashem, so you're talking, the subject is my name. I didn't tell them, right? Loy hoidati, with a hey. Now, if you talk about yourself, is loy noidati, me. I didn't appear. So either you say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ve'ani loy noidati, and I never appear to them, or you must say, Ushmi Hashem, like it's written, the name of Hashem, loy hoidati, third person. I did not tell them, did not get them be aware. In this psukim, and I can go on, I had questions to the words on this psukim, just to show that something going on here, and it's deep, much deeper than what can be assessed through just a partial explanation. let's go a little bit with the Midrashim. I'm going to go a lot less with the Zohar this week, but let's go because the Midrashim are, I couldn't even contain all the information, basically, that the Midrashim are going haywire in this whole Parasha. So I decided to go mostly with the Midrashim today, a little bit of the Ariya Kodesh. And and we're going to try to go forward, try to explain what's going on here. So let's back up to Lama Hare-Oisa. Moshe goes with his shlichus to Mitzrayim. Everybody believes, whoa, the Mashiach came. It's Moshe Rabbeinu. He stroked the right words. He said the right word that they received from their forefathers, that, you know, the Goel will come with these words. And then they get very deceived. Very deceived. Why? Because instead of alleviating the Avdus, it enhanced it and makes no sense. You remember last week, we spoke about the difference between our current world, where there's a transition between the light and the darkness, a transition between the darkness to the light. However, in the upper worlds, it's sudden. And we brought from Yitzchak Isaac Chaver that the baby, the Gemara speaks about the baby before he is born. In the first 3 months, he lives in the first level. In the second 3 months, he goes in deeper, which is in the middle level, second level. And before he's born, the last 3 months, he's going into the third level, despite that he's getting closer to getting out. That's what Iyov said, Mi besarecha achze Eloika. From my own body, I can know how the world, the upper worlds are working. The same shape of the body, and you know, I'm sure you remember from last week. So let's move forward. Moshe Rabbeinu, who was, when he killed the Mitzri, how much he cried before, he says to the Bnei Israel, if I could have 10 deaths, I would accept, so it could alleviate the shirbut. He was feeling tremendous tremendously for Bnei Israel. Moshe Rabbeinu passes in front of a father that didn't do the number of his bricks for that day. The Mitzrim go take his young son, put him in the wall, and say, now, put cement around it. That's going to complete. Moshe Rabbeinu takes that kid, and he comes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Lama hare-oisa la'am hazeh. Everyone would understand and cut a slack to Moshe Rabbeinu through the pain of his eyes seeing a Ben Israel being walled. He comes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He has no way. He's screaming his pain. Lama hare-oisa. He's not coming with the kavanah of a chutzpah. I'm sure you can find 10-minute tirutzim, and all the Baalei Musar will find me another hand. Comes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Gemara in Sanhedrin tells us a story. The story is a bit longer in the Yalkut Shimonim. That story. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu, do you think you're more misericordious than me? You think you have more rachamim than me? Let the owner of the orchard, take care of the thorns in his orchard. Don't mix it. Interesting. The Gemara says, who was this? That kid that Moshe said? It was Micha. Micha, the biggest Baal Oved Avodah Zarah. He's going to take the Bnei Israel out of the right path. He's going to have Pesel Micha. Even the grandson of Moshe Rabbeinu would fall into it. Shavuel, his name was Yehoinasan. I'm going to expound a little bit on this because this is a very important subject. Every day in our life, we're confronted with decisions. We always have two ways at least. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this or this or that? And you don't know. You're human. You don't know the future. You don't know what you have to do. What is the process required for a Jew to make a decision and HaKadosh Baruch Hu validate that decision? That's the subject of today's shir. Never to doubt when you're confronted with a decision. Always go with confidence. How do I do that? But I don't know the future. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to go through this. We're going to enlighten a little bit the Gemara in Sanhedrin. Moshe Rabbeinu has Micha in the hand, and he can't take the pain of seeing that father, with tears, putting his son, his dear son, inside the wall and wall him with cement, dying from the hands of his own father. Can we understand the level of the riches of the Mitzrim, what they did to our forefathers? Very, very hard, very difficult. So, still HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, let me take care of the thorns. A young kid? You call him a thorn? That's interesting. So what did Micha do? Midrash Tanchuma in Parshas Kiseitze says, once Moshe threw in the Nile the golden tablet on which he inscribed the name of Hashem and the words Ale Shoyer, come, bull, come up. So he was looking for Yosef HaTzadik, for the Aaron of Yosef HaTzadik. So Micha went behind and he took it. Once came the time to do the eagle, he threw it in the fire. And that's how the eagle came out, with the Ale Shoyer that Moshe Rabbeinu himself inscribed to bring Yosef HaTzadik. But that's not it. David HaMelech tells us in the Pasuk, Avar Tzara Beyam. A Tzara came through the ocean. Ask the Midrash in Tehillim, what kind of Tzara went through the Yam? The Pesel of Micha. He couldn't contain himself. He couldn't hold himself. He was bad to the worst. Even when they crossed the Yam Suf and you see the godless of Hashem, that a Shivcha saw on the ocean, on the crossings, what Yecheskel ben Buzi hasn't seen with all his nevuah. And Micha, what he has in his backpack, Avodah Zarah. Let's analyze it 2 seconds. Micha, you owe your life to Moshe Rabbeinu. I don't know. Can't you try to be a little bit good? Can't you try to be thankful a little bit? Hakar Satoiv, maybe, toward Moshe Rabbeinu. His badness is way too bad. It's a raging fire. Can't contain it. He wants Avodah Zarah and he wants everyone else to do Avodah Zarah. What happened to the grandson of Moshe? The grandson of Moshe was Yehoianasan, was from Bethlehem, and he was dying in Shebet Dan. But he had no food. Because Dayanim cannot do the deals the lawyers are making with the client. So you have no food. So he remembered that Moshe Rabbeinu said that if you come in, rather than being on the back of the tzibur, make Avodah Zarah, which David HaMelech explained later to Yehoianasan that he meant change even job if you need to be. Make a job that's difficult on you, that's lowering. You're not a garbage man. You used to work as an engineer in a big firm in Google. Now, all of a sudden, the only opening is in your city, garbage collector. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu meant. But Yehoianasan, his grandson, the son of Gershom, understood. So he went to Micha and he says, look, I'm an important person. Why don't you put me as a kohen to your Pesach? They were very happy. Every time a person used to bring a korban to the Pesach, the guy said, if he was young, says, you're crazy. do something better with your life. If he was old, he says, an old person really to something that was created before you. So he would make them run away with shame. And he would keep the korban and feed himself. That was his parnasa. Until David HaMelech took him and he made him the ministers of all the Oitzrois of David HaMelech and so forth. But we see that Moshe Rabbeinu had Rachmanus, and he comes to Hashem, Lama Hareoisa with Micha. Hashem tell him, look, listen to this Ariya Kodesh. It's going to blow your mind. The Ariya Kodesh asked a question in this Parasha, in Likutei Torah. Why were the children punished with two harsh deaths? One was to throw them in the Nile and they would drown. The second one is they were walled. Why such a harsh death for? The Ariya Kodesh says, all the neshamas that were in Der HaMabul and in Der HaFlaga, they were tremendous neshamas. Where did they come from? From Adam Arishon, when he sinned during the 130 years that he was separated from Chava. These neshamas got taken by the other side, and automatically there was a tremendous clipper around them, and they turned to be, as we know, the Dor HaMabul had to be eradicated by Kadosh Baruch Hu, and the Dor HaFlaga, those who built the binyan in Bavel, had to be also eradicated. These were big neshamas, and each one can get, so any neshama that could have a tikkun, a nefesh. You see, how many years it says in the pasuk, "Vayhi be'etzem hayayimazeh yatzu kol tzivos Hashem eretz Mitzrayim." It was after how many years? Says the pasuk, 430. If you calculate from the birth of Yitzchak all the way to Yetzias Mitzrayim, is 400 years. Rashi says there on the spot, HaKadosh Baruch Hu did him a favor that he counted from Bris Ben Abesarim, which was 30 years prior to the birth of Yitzchak. So we have altogether 430. Why 430? Because it's the gematria of nefesh. And at that point, we were trying to be mesaken the nefesh of these 4 generations that are going to come. These are the same neshamas that keep on coming in us. So we are every time correcting something else until there's nothing else to correct and Mashiach comes. So once a neshama was so bad that it was not possible to provide it a tikkun through the Shibud Mitzrayim, this neshama, the only tikkun that Ariya Kodesh said was through death. And therefore they were put to death. That's the pshat in the Gemara. Hanach lebal kerem, let the owner of the orchard take care of the thorns. Moshe Rabbeinu, you don't know. And the proof is that the one that he saved from the war, instead of having a tikkun, started having tremendous disaster for himself and for the Bnei Israel later on. So this is the reason, as much as our hearts go out, Tinoike Shabes Rabban, HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows how to handle his world. That's one thing we have to live to him. We not here. Moshe Rabbeinu, you were Das Elyon. We are nothing. Moshe Rabbeinu was all the way to the Memtes Shearim. That's why he always had the Mate. Mate, Memtes, Hashem, hey. So he was all the way up there. And with all this, he could not understand the beginning of the Machshava of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This tells you just for us. if we take, there's a pasuk in Yeshaya actually, pointing to this, that the Midrash brings, talking also about the thorns in the orchard. It says, Ki kerem Hashem Yisrael. Beis Yisrael. Beis Yisrael is the orchard of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. No one can do anything there unless HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. You will see how much there is, how much depth there are in these words. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a taste right now. Ki kerem Hashem, this equals 785. This is the assurance we have that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Kilashem Amlucha Meshvagoyim, from Har Seir. Har Seir equals 785. Why do they do the thorns? They want to invade the orchard. There's room in the orchard. It's cleared so fruits can grow properly. No, but Esau wants to come and wants to own us. The proof is, even when Paroi admitted to Moshe Rabbeinu by Makas Arbe, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ki Hashem Hatzadik Va'ani Ve'ami Areshayim, if you look in the pasuk in the Rashi Tevis is Yud K before Ani, Vav Hey before Ani. When do I admit to Hashem that He's correct if He lets me control the Bnei Israel? Nobody, all these nations. Let me open a parenthesis. You all daven Shach Threis every day. You all say the first bracha. Maybe Goyer Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemoi B'Yahava. What are you saying? Maybe Goyer. Okay, we have faith that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is bringing the Mashiach at the end of time. Then you can ask many questions. It's redundant with many brachas. Maybe, it doesn't mean it brings. Maybe points out to, each letter points out to one of the goddess. Mem for Madai. Beis for Bavel. Yud for Yavan. Aleph from Edom. What we say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Umevi Goyer, the same way you have delivered us from the first three, we have emunah that even the Edom, the last one, the Aleph, we're getting out of it. Everything works with letters. So let's go back to our subject here. We said the Aleph, very good. You know what Beis Yisrael is? Beis Yisrael, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks and say, you have Bnei Yisrael, Am Bnei Yisrael, Yisrael, Beis Yisrael is when it's in a bias. Meaning there's Achdus in Bnei Yisrael. When are we the orchard of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? When Hashem calls us the Kerem Hashem, we become the Kerem Hashem, is when it's Beis Yisrael. Because Beis Yisrael equals 953. Reminds me the kavanas of the shofar. So 953 is the inside of Aleph, which means Pele, which is in the Keser. You remember I told you the Aleph in Edom? We're going to see that we have within us the power to eradicate any force against that stands up. Despite if we are in Galus, Shibud Malchuyas, we should be able to feel no harm and no pain. Yisrael has a special sgula that within itself, it has the solution how to overcome the other side. So I'm going to remember that point that I said in the Aleph Yisrael. I'm just going to explain you after that. I'm really going to give you something that's going to blow your minds about this Yisrael and answering all the questions at once. Everyone asked the Rashi, Vaidaber Elohikim, Diber Mishpat. All right. What are you telling me here? What's this is mishpat? You know what the mishpat is? Let me explain you what the mishpat Rashi means here. Rashi is telling you, we're not talking about judgment. Yeah, because there's no words after Vaidaber Elohim. We don't know what happened. But the mishpat is equals nefesh, equals 430, equals 5 times Elohim. It's 5 times. Moshe Rabbeinu comes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Lama Hare Oisa. Why did you do bad? Look at this child. This child is going to turn to be a misery for you and for Am Yisrael. Very good. Moshe Hashem tells him, Moshe, your name equals 345, 4 times Elohim. In the Galus Mitzrayim, there is 5 times Elohim. You can't do it on your own. You need Ani Hashem. So by Daber Elohim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed him. Sometimes we do not understand. We see something a little bit harsh coming our way. We started going into our socks. Have we done something wrong toward Hashem? Why is he coming to me? No. Sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu implements in you a midah of the deen in order to enhance your power. Moshe, you only have 4. Vaidaber Elohim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu added to Moshe Rabbeinu 1 more Elohim. Why? Because otherwise you cannot be the goel of Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim, it's keneged the nefesh, 430, of Der HaMabul, Der HaFlaga. So you have to be at that level in order to be able to mitigate, overpower the forces of Mitzrayim, the Klippa there. It's 5 times judgment. That's why Vaidaber Elohim. And that's why it says the Mishpat. Now we're going to take the Rachaim HaKodesh. The Rachaim HaKodesh comes, it says, Ashreim Tzadikim, praises the Tzadikim, that with their deeds, they turn the Midas Adin into a Midas Rachamim. Even if there's an Elohim, they turn it, they raise him up, and they go to Hashem. Let me give you just a little bit background between those names. So every time we're going to learn something, and after that, it's going to be a lot easier to understand from yourself when you read the Torah. Where am I situated? Elohim equals 86. Hateva, the nature, equals 86. Elohim is the name responsible for running nature. So anything that happens under the name Elohim is through nature. Once a person is at a level to be under Elohim, is within the nature, he didn't raise himself to be a part of Hashem. So his astrology is correct, everything. A person who raised himself above the level of Elohim, which is above the level of the Teva of nature, is basically not anymore under the astrology. He can basically order the astrology to do what he wants. Where is he? Under the Mazala Ilah. Anyone who elevated himself from Elohim to Hashem, okay, there's Shakai in the middle. So he's a little bit of a tzaddik. So he elevated himself. At that point, he is under the 2 mazalas, the Mazala Kadisha, Noitzer Chesed La'alafim, and Venake. So he is in the 13 midos, and it's specifically under the tremendous rachamim, Venake min HaKadosh Baruch Hu, despite his sins, HaKadosh Baruch Hu lets go and erases the sins. And he has the Be'er that we saw in the previous, when we were in Vayetze, told us, we spoke extensively about the Be'er, which was Be'er is 203, and it's when the Gemara says, Bane, Chaye, Mezoine, that the three necessities of a person, because otherwise it's considered dead, is to have children, Baye, Chaye, life healthy, Mezoine, Parnasa, these three things together, Bane, Chaye, Mezoine equals 203, the same value as Be'er. So we explain this. So where is the Be'er? The Be'er is above Elohim. Anyone who's under Elohim feels the stick, because Elohim is Midas Adin. The nature runs without any emotion, its course, and that's the name of Elohim. Yud-Ke Vav-Ke is Rachamim, and by the way, Yud-Ke Vav-Ke is not Hashem. Hashem is for us to be able to visualize a little bit of Hashem, a tiny bit of his powers. He gave names which are containers, but Hashem cannot be contained. It's Ensof. Meloi kol haaretz kevoidoi. Even his names cannot contain him. So just want to give this as an introduction in the words of the L'chaim HaKadosh. So L'chaim HaKadosh says, even though the din is shoylet in the world, the din is basically powers in the world. They can turn it into rachamim. Mashen ken dereshaim, even it's a time of abundance because rachamim are in the world, they would turn it into midas hadin. And this is the paradox is playing between the beginning of the pasuk and the end of the pasuk. Vaydaber Elohim. These are the reshaim that turn everything into midas hadin. Vayomer ani Hashem is the midas arachamim that even tzaddikim, when there's a midas. So, and this is a tremendous yesod that tells us, do not go after or do not get influenced by the events around you, because it could very well be outside midas rachamim and chadasham, and it could very well be that it's midas adin, and you see it like the corona, like the. But a person that goes to shul, a person that davens 3 times a day, the person that does the right thing, for him, it's like he's under the sun. And he's protected, he's under the... What this tells us about the question about a person. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created us with limitation. And these limitations are what? We don't know the future, we don't see. But our actions can define on which level we are playing. Are we playing on the level of Elohim, or are we playing on the level of Hashem? The truth is, you take the whole pasuk, Vaydaber Elohim el Moshe, Vayomer Elov ani Hashem, equals 1075. You take the 5 times it says the word light at the beginning, when Hashem created the light at the beginning of Bereshis, it says Oyer, 207, Ha'oyer, 212, because it's a Hey, and then it says La'oyer, right? You add them the 5 times. Sorry, it's Oyer, Ha'oyer, La'oyer. The 5 times equals 1075, exactly like our apostle. What is he telling us? I love the gematria, but what is the meaning behind it? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed something to Moshe here, the tremendous oil. We saw previously with Yaakov, when he fought the Satan, we explained that that was the stepstone in order to deserve to become Yisrael. Because Yaakov, Satan, if you take 359 and 182 equals 541. Yisrael. What did he get as a bracha after that? Yisrael. If you take Oyer and you take Choshech, the two extreme powers, Oyer Choshech equals 541, equal Yisrael. But what's inside Israel? I'd like to show you that. If you take the word Yisrael here, and we're going to expound it to see what's inside. So we have, it's called a Yud. So we write Yud.
I'm sorry to disturb. Is it possible to mute Jeffrey?
This is called Shin, right? So we're going to write it as it's spelled, Shin. This is called Resh.
Papa?
This is...
Papa, is it possible to mute Jeffrey? It's disturbing.
So this is called Aleph. So we're going to write Aleph. And this is called Lamed. So we're going to write Lamed. This tells us what Israel is made of, because this says the internal powers of Israel. Yud, Shin, Resh, Aleph, Lamed equals 1075. Like we said before, Oyer, Oyer, Ha-Oyer, Ha-Oyer, La-Oyer. All the light, it's a vessel for the Oyer HaGanuz. It's also Oyer Choshech. It's also Yaakov Satan. But it's also Vaydaber Eloikim El Moshe, Vayomer Elav Ani Hashem. What did he tell him? I'll tell you what he told him, what Hashem told Moshe. He told him, you think you're smart, you think you have Rachmanus on Am Yisrael. Let me show you that everything here, it's done for Am Yisrael. Vaydaber Eloikim El Moshe. You're missing one Eloikim to even defend them. Let me give it to you. Here you go. But you still need me, because Yisrael is these two powers. In order to be Yisrael, you need to be able to overpower the darkness with the light. You're able to overpower the Satan with Yaakov. And you are a vessel for the Oyer HaGanuz. All the Oyer in the world can be contained in each one from the Bnei Yisrael. And this is the side of this pasuk. And that's exactly, now, if you want to understand a little bit deeper, I'm going to take a minute just to explain you this. When I had people coming with Vota, Moshe Rabbeinu had chutzpah, they didn't understand a word in the pasuk. When the pasuk says, Lama hare oisa, hare oisa is definitely not the right word. Automatically, the pasuk tells me, look behind it. I'm hinting you something. What is he hinting? Hare Oisa equals 680. Moshe Rabbeinu says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, all your names together of all the worlds in all the Midas is equal to 687. Why did you only send 680? One day, B'ez Hashem, I'll have you all understand what is Kasar, Kana, Kamag, Ab, Sagma, Ben, which equals together to 687. So we only 7 away from having all the names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and because of this, the mission didn't succeed. I mean, that's the rationals of Moshe with the Asavia. Hashem tells him, now, you know what is 680? It's 40 times Tov. The maximum level, the 40 days, everything is 40, in this level. The maximum we can reach is the 40th level, so 40 times Tov. Because what I prepared is I prepared now from the birth of Am Yisrael. So now we understand a little bit more the parody between Moshe and HaKadosh Baruch Hu and what's hinted behind those words. Have a great Shabbos.
Have a good Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom. Shkoyach. Magnifique.